We often celebrate artists for, their creative genius and chart-topping hits. But what about the rare few who turn that cultural influence into a sprawling business empire? Today, we're taking a deep dive into just such a figure, Percy Master P. Miller, a hip-hop legend whose vision extended far, far beyond the recording studio. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to explore how Master P really engineered this diversified business juggernaut. He leveraged a powerful ownership-first strategy across music, film, food, real estate, so much more. We pulled together a comprehensive report and, various public sources to uncover the essential insights behind his success and also the very real challenges he continues to navigate.
What's truly compelling here, I think, is that we're examining a blueprint for wealth creation that, frankly, many aspire to, yet few execute with such breadth and just unwavering tenacity. We'll connect the dots, showing how his pioneering decisions, particularly in music early on, laid the groundwork for this remarkable diversification that, it still resonates today.
Right, because most of us probably know Master P for his distinctive sound, his chart presence. But our sources indicate the real foundation of his expansive empire. It began with how he structured his earliest business deals. This is where his strategic brilliance really shone, establishing a model that was pretty revolutionary for its time.
Indeed. Yeah, to understand that, we need to go back to the early 1990s. Master P didn't start in some, corporate office. He began with a small record store in Richmond, California. Just $10,000, actually.
Just 10,000. Wow.
Yeah. And that humble storefront, it evolved into No Limit Records, which he meticulously built into a full-fledged label and really a family of businesses. The pivotal moment, the true game changer, though, was his 1996 distribution deal with Priority Records. This wasn't just a standard agreement.
Okay.
It was a masterclass in ownership-first negotiation, almost unheard of for an independent hip-hop label back then.
So explain that for us. For those maybe not deep into the mechanics of record deals, what precisely made that agreement so groundbreaking? What set it apart?
Well, typically, major labels control the masters, the original sound recordings, and crucially, they take the vast majority of the revenue. Master P completely flipped that script. No Limit maintained ownership of all its masters, all of them, and secured an unusually large share of record sales.
Okay.
Industry reports commonly cite that No Limit retained roughly 85% of sales, with Priority just handling the pressing and distribution for their 15%.
85%.
85, yeah. This was monumental because it meant No Limit would capture long-term catalog value, earning from those recordings for decades, not just, some upfront payment.
That sounds like an incredibly impactful deal, especially for an independent label back then. Could you give us a sense of the sheer scale of the financial success No Limit saw from that ownership model?
Well, the numbers really do speak for themselves. Reports suggest No Limit Enterprises, the umbrella company, grossed an astonishing, get this, $110 million in 1998 alone.
Wow. In 1 year.
In 1 year. And when you look at overall record sales, No Limit and its affiliated labels are credited with selling anywhere from 75 million to 120 million albums.
Staggering numbers.
Absolutely staggering figures, especially for a company that began so independently. It just illustrates the immense economic engine that direct ownership created.
And crucially, this capital wasn't simply pocketed, right? We connect this to the broader strategy. This substantial influx of cash became the critical fuel for his later extensive diversification.
Exactly. It allowed him to monetize both the new releases and, importantly, that continuous stream of income from his back catalog. That was the foundation.
So with that kind of capital flowing in, Master P immediately started building beyond music. He expanded into film and television, launching No Limit Films. He clearly understood that his audience craved content that authentically reflected their culture, and he wanted to control that narrative himself.
That's right. And look, he wasn't chasing Hollywood's definition of blockbuster success. Not really. Instead, he was strategically building the sort of direct-to-consumer content pipeline. You might remember films like I Got the Hookup from '98 or MP Day Last On, also from 1998.
Yeah, I remember those.
These projects were less about massive box office returns. I mean, for example, I Got the Hookup 2 in 2019 had a pretty modest domestic gross, around $234,800. It was much more about brand building, maintaining content control, and generating those ancillary revenues, soundtracks, home video, later streaming rights. By owning the narrative and the distribution, even on a smaller scale, he bypassed traditional gatekeepers and just reinforced the No Limit brand across different media.
It's clear he was building an integrated ecosystem. And even alongside film, he started exploring consumer goods really early on with products like energy drinks, I think it was called, make him say, ugh.
That's the one.
He recognized the power of connecting with his audience through everyday items, not just through entertainment. Smart. Okay, now let's shift our focus a bit to a venture that has become almost as iconic as his music. His deep foray into the food and beverage industry, particularly through that incredibly popular brand, Rap Snacks. This is where his cultural capital really took a tangible, edible form.
Yeah, Rap Snacks. It was originally founded by James Fly Lindsay back in the 90s. Master P was an early brand collaborator, but he significantly deepened that partnership over time. He helped expand the product line beyond just chips into noodles, cereals, rice, through a joint venture called P&J Foods. This was a very shrewd move targeting everyday consumer staples that really resonated with his audience.
And he truly put his personal stamp on it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Launching his own wrap noodles flavors like creamy chicken gumbo and hot and spicy Cajun shrimp and the Icon ramen line. We also see Uncle P branded rice and pancake mix, plus Soldier Snacks. It wasn't just like one product. It was an entire grocery aisle built around his brand and that cultural influence.
And the commercial model here is quite insightful. These are typically low-margin but high-volume retail goods. You find them in convenience stores, mass grocers, online. Master P's strategy, it involved licensing his brand, securing product royalties, taking equity stakes, often serving as a partner or brand manager rather than the sole manufacturer, which significantly reduced his manufacturing risk and, the capital expenditure required, made it a much more capital-efficient way to monetize his influence.
What's truly remarkable about Rap Snacks, I think, is how it has leveraged the entire hip-hop culture.
Yeah.
The collaborations with this vast network of artists. We're talking current chart toppers like Lil Baby with his all-in hot flavor Mio's, sour cream with a dab of ranch, right?
Yeah.
Cardi B with cheddar BBQ.
Yep.
And they've worked with legends, too, like Old Dirty Bastards, Meek Mill, even his own son, Lil Romeo. It's this multi-generational appeal that kind of cemented Rap Snacks as a cultural staple. It shows the power of collective branding.
Absolutely. And this extensive network of partnerships has positioned Rap Snacks as a multi-million-dollar brand. Some reports cite over $50 million in cumulative revenue for Rap Snacks overall, with earlier annual estimates around, say, a $5 million revenue run rate. And his 2022 50-50 partnership with Snoop Dogg for Snoop Dogg Icon Chips, that further illustrates this equity-focused model for artists.
Right.
Which raises a really important question, I think, for artists everywhere. How can they move beyond just those one-off endorsement deals to truly benefit from ongoing revenue and, crucially, ownership in the products they promote?
That's a key question. But even with such powerful collaborations and deep cultural resonance, the path for these ventures isn't always smooth sailing, is it?
No, definitely not.
In fact, just this year, 2024, Master P and Snoop Dogg, through their Broadest Foods partnership, they made headlines when they faced significant challenges. They ended up suing retail giants, Walmart, and post-consumer brands. They alleged that their Snoop Loop cereal was intentionally withheld from shelves, subjected to unfair practices, basically kept out of sight.
Yeah, and that case powerfully underscores the very real distribution and, let's call them, gatekeeping challenges that minority-owned food brands can encounter when dealing with large incumbent grocery retailers. It highlights that even celebrity-anchored products with massive cultural resonance can face substantial retail friction and struggle for fair shelf space, even with huge names behind them.
A really important point.
Yeah.
Now, beyond the more visible ventures in entertainment and snacks, Master P also built this quiet but incredibly powerful asset base in real estate.
Yeah.
This often goes unmentioned, doesn't it? But it seems to form a foundational part of his long-term wealth strategy.
Exactly. He shrewdly channeled his earnings into PM Properties, which is a dedicated property management and real estate arm. Public profiles indicate PM Properties controls over 100 properties across the U.S.
Over 100.
Yeah. And this provides that steady, recurring cash flow and asset appreciation. It acts as a crucial ballast, as you said earlier, against the inherent volatility you often find in entertainment income.
Makes sense.
It's the less glamorous, maybe, but incredibly stable side of his financial portfolio.
And his diversification didn't stop there either. He also launched No Limit Communications for sports management, which wasn't just about representing athletes, was it?
No, it was about applying his ownership principles to help them retain more control over their careers and branding, much like he did with his music, passing that blueprint on.
Right. And he established various retail footprints, clothing, shoes, ensuring his brand was physically present in multiple consumer touchpoints. He even invested in media ventures like Better Black Television and TV production for his family members like Romeo and Symphonique.
Creating this sort of self-sustaining ecosystem of content and opportunity.
Exactly. So let's boil this down. What does this all mean for you, our listener? And what are the overarching kind of enduring lessons we can take away from Master P's extraordinary journey as an entrepreneur?
Well, I think we can distill his strategy into a few key actionable points. First, and maybe most crucially, was his ownership-first approach in music. That cannot be overstated. His early insistence on owning his masters and securing those highly favorable revenue splits, that 85% with Priority Records, that generated the durable capital that financed pretty much everything else he built.
The starting point.
The absolute starting point. Second, his embrace of brand licensing and low capital expenditure consumer plays. Instead of building massive factories himself, he partnered smartly with companies like Rap Snacks and P&J Foods. He licensed his brand, his cultural cachet for chips, ramen, cereals. This was a very capital-efficient way to monetize his influence without taking on huge manufacturing risks.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Third was his strategic vertical breadth. His portfolio expertly blends recurring, stable asset income, like his real estate holdings with its reported 100-plus properties, with those higher variance consumer launches in food and entertainment. This blend helps to smooth out cash flows and build a more resilient empire overall.
Got it.
And fourth, his astute use of his family and a media ecosystem. He effectively leveraged his family members Romeo, Symphonique, and the existing No Limit channels to seed and promote film and TV projects, keeping production control and capturing that ancillary revenue. It really is a true family enterprise.
Those are powerful lessons in building wealth through strategic control, definitely. But as that Snoop Loops lawsuit powerfully highlights, even with a strong blueprint and massive cultural pull, significant risks and barriers persist.
Absolutely.
Retail distribution gatekeeping and that intense CPG consumer packaged goods shelf space competition. It means product launches require far more than just celebrity. They demand smart placement, robust contracts, and sustained consumer demand.
Yeah.
It's not enough to simply make a great product and put a famous face on it.
Exactly. And the financial assessment really reveals that while No Limit's peak revenues were substantial, those product lines and media projects, they delivered more incremental revenue. The biggest historical wins, the financial bedrock, truly came from that initial music ownership model and his disciplined real estate holdings. The product plays, while promising and culturally significant, are highly retail dependent and subject to the dynamics of those major distributors.
What an incredibly deep dive into Master P's empire, though. He truly built one of hip-hop's most resilient and, frankly, innovative business blueprints, converting cultural influence into direct IP ownership, then strategically redeploying those hard-earned dollars and that cultural capital into diversified consumer goods and asset plays. He showed the industry and the world how to turn an artist into a genuine mogul.
Yeah. His journey powerfully underscores the immense potential of marrying cultural capital with astute business strategy. But also, it highlights the persistent structural barriers faced by minority-owned ventures, even at the highest levels of celebrity and entrepreneurship. The story isn't just about remarkable success, it's also about the ongoing fight for equitable access and fair play in the marketplace. It's a crucial dimension.
Absolutely. So for you, our listener, here's a final provocative thought to chew on. Consider how true ownership, not just, one-off endorsement deals, can be a monumental game changer for wealth creation and building a long-term legacy. And maybe as you go about your day, think about the distribution channels for the products you buy, whether it's chips or cereal or anything else. What unseen barriers might exist for smaller, independent, or minority-owned brands trying to reach those coveted shelves, even when they have a powerhouse like Master P or Snoop Dogg behind them? Something to think about. And that's a wrap on our deep dive for today. We hope you feel a little more well-informed, maybe a bit inspired by the incredible business journey of Master P.